cannabis is just for smoking, but when they hear this song, they'll learn there's more to choking. 25,000 different things we can make from it, and if we give it a chance, we'll save the blinking planet. Food, fibre, fuel and medicine, necessities for life, a benefit to all of us, our wonder and delight. Within this smelly weed, there's more than meets the eye. So much more than smoking, it can cleanse our dirty skies. Cannabis, cannabis, we'll save the planet with cannabis. Cannabis, cannabis, I'll rest my soul, I'm sure. Cannabis.
Good evening, it's Hemp Works Radio, and we're coming on the Time for Hemp Network, and I have got one of my favourite guests of all time on tonight, Sister Kate. Sister Kate, how are you? The last show we done went down a storm. It's so nice to have you back on now.
Thank you. I'm still blown away by some information I just learned from your show. Yes, how are you?
I'm good. I'm still travelling around. I've moved from Spain to Greece, back to the UK, and I'm back in Jamaica on Sunday, Valentine's Day. I'm going to go see my girlfriend, the island of Jamaica.
Oh, that's interesting. Sister Darcy and I are going out with a Jamaican musician who invited us to some kind of Jamaican feast here in town, in the city. Wow. So we'll be with you in spirit.
You certainly will indeed. So listen, now, just a quick catch-up. I think last time we spoke, there was a little bit of political problem going on with what you was doing. And can you bring us up to speed, please, where you are?
Okay, so, first our city council on January 4th banned cannabis commerce, cannabis research, and all things cannabis cultivation in the city limits of our little town, which has a college and a university, and we're in the middle of a fairly progressive ag center. From what I've seen as far as sending kids to ag school and them getting behind the scenes looks at our farmers here. Our farmers are getting pretty progressive. They're going away from mono farming. They're going away from things that harm planet Earth. They're getting more savvy. They're going away from using Monsanto or even letting them come near their farms. And so I could see that there's some progressive farm practices here, but the idea that they would ban cannabis in our towns, and it's not just happening here. 280 cities and towns, I believe is the latest count, have banned cannabis cultivation and cannabis commerce and cannabis research. Basically because they can't ban a patient's right to cannabis. They are recognizing a cardholder's right to have the medicine, but they're banning everything else. So in other words, they're making cancer patients. We also have a number of hospitals here in the center of the Central Valley, and it requires patients that have to basically drive 2 hours to the coast or 2 hours north to Sacramento or go find a town somewhere that'll sell it. It's ridiculous.
Oh, that's nice when you got cancer. Oh, so you get off the cancer.
Yes.
You got to go drive 2 hours, which is both really quite dangerous to do when you got cancer. You know, I've had cancer. I didn't feel really like walking anywhere, let alone driving 2 hours. So that's the only way they can get their medicine.
Yes, well, that technically. So in the process of this, their argument was, we've never had a cannabis commerce in this town. We've never allowed cannabis commerce. We've never allowed cultivation. So there was about 200 residents at that meeting, and 4 of us stood up and outed ourselves for businesses that had been operating here for a minimum of 13 months to 3 years, peaceably, 2 delivery services, a downtown Main Street herbalist dispensary, and ourselves. And the sisters, we specialize in CBD, so we really don't run a brick and mortar store. We we sell our things through Etsy. Yep. So we all outed ourselves, and then they went ahead against the wishes of the people, against the 20-some people that spoke, representing all 200 in the audience, asked them not to do this, not to criminalize their illnesses, not to criminalize businesses that were employing people in a town that's going on 40 years of over 20% unemployment, and terminal unemployment. So it's very poor here. Which is another reason why we decided to just set up shop and stay here. These people need the job. So there's a number of sins, in my opinion, that they've committed against the citizens of this town.
Wait a minute, I've got to catch up here. Because obviously I don't come from America, so sometimes the political situation in America is a bit strange to people outside of America. But I thought where you live, the state where you live, is legal to have marijuana. Is that? Am I wrong?
It's legal to have marijuana, but that doesn't keep the towns and the counties from banning the businesses and banning cultivation, which is what they're doing.
So you can have it, but you can't sell it or transport.
Right.
It's ludicrous.
Let's
equate it to like a bread shop. You're allowed to grow bread or make bread, but you're not allowed to sell bread.
Exactly.
But people need bread.
What it really is the last gasp of a dying paradigm, a last gasp of the dinosaurs before they go dead. That's the way I see it. The fact that 280 towns ruled predominantly by rich white men, sat around a table and with their alcohol and their pharmaceutical decided they were going to ban this in their cities and towns. And I think it's an atrocity against the people. And so essentially where we are is that ban was reaffirmed by them. They have to vote on it twice. So 2 weeks later, they met, and again, everyone was present, and again, everyone objected, and again, they ignored us and did it anyway. However, what they said was, we are only banning it because we don't understand it, and we need time to make our regulations. And our mayor very famously said, we have a yearning for learning. Yeah. So I jumped on that, and I got a political action going where we call in to the mayor and the city council every Thursday and Friday and ask them about their yearning for learning. It's called, What Have You Learned About Cannabis This Week? And we have people calling them from all over the world to ask them what they learned about cannabis.
Right. So all the audience, listen to this audience, right? Sister Kate's going to give us a number or an email address, and if we all contact them, we can ask them. Is this right? That we can ask them a question about what they've learned.
What have you learned about cannabis this week? Yes, and we need to do this because they're idiots, and they need pressure on them.
I love sending emails to people about cannabis. It's like my hobby.
Yes, exactly. And then we're saying to, of course, all the California residents to say, and especially the Merced City residents, I'm a city resident. Call me back. I want my call back. Here's the number. It's 209-385-6834. 209-385-6834. And I say to all activists around the planet, it'd be worth a call into the mayor of Merced to say, what have you learned about cannabis this week? Because honest to God, they were shocked. Our mayor and our city councilor were surprised that cannabis has any medicinal value. And they admitted it. Honest to God. So it's been legal in California for 19 years, and they didn't know it had medicinal value.
Oh, they're not very smart then, are they?
No, they're dumber than
they're
rocks.
Slow learners.
They're dumber than rocks, and they're all a bunch of sheep.
So have they given you any answers for any of these questions?
Well, they denied us our business permit, but next week we're moving to the county. But our battle just moves from the city to the county because the county also has a ban on all cannabis research, cultivation, and commerce. Essentially, I can, as a patient, I can have 12 plants and get myself stoned all day. But if I want to create jobs for the valley and export CBD medicine and bring in outside world wealth to a very place, nope, they won't let me do that.
So, Olga, you got some land, so you're going to need building material. So if you use the cannabis for the building material, they wouldn't let that happen.
No, they wouldn't let that happen. They're not. They're stubbornly keeping their heads in the sand and going, cannabis is that stony marijuana stuff. And we don't want to have to understand nuances between CBD or cancer, or they don't want to know.
All right, well, that's a bit techy. Let's just go back to this rubbish bit. So you can grow your stuff there, but then you're going to have a load of stuff left, which is technically going to be rubbish. So what, they're going to take that away, are they? What are they going to do with it?
Well, I don't know.
What are you supposed to do with this rubbish?
Here's what is. Our city and our city legislatures and our sheriffs and our cops can be as crazy as they want on this issue. The reality is they'd have to make it stick in court. And so far, we've already had Fresno, an adjacent county, has similar bans, and people who have ignored it have always won in court. Yeah. So it's not sticking at the judicial level. So they would have to basically come in and shut us all down, and they haven't done that yet. But we're definitely just saying we're ignoring your ban with all due respect. and we're all going to continue helping the sick people.
Excellent. Well, if you keep all your stalks and all that stuff, I'll show you how to turn it into this hempstone stuff, and we'll mould them up. And I'm using the word properly here. We will mould them a nice big brick, and we'll send them a nice hemp brick made from your rubbish, because they really are acting like bricks, aren't they?
Yes.
And I think they deserve a hemp brick so they can understand that hemp rubbish is not really rubbish, it's useful, and it can build things. It's like
really,
simple.
Tonight I'm going to a forum in another town, and really the bigger issue is the issue that you are talking about all the time on your program, which is the plastic island swirling in the Pacific, the fuel-based economy, the meat-based diet. Hemp and cannabis give us the opportunity to walk gently and well-financed into a new era and a new paradigm.
Absolutely.
But we have to go about replacing every government official who is anti-cannabis, and we have to equate to the public that being anti-cannabis is being anti-earth. And we all have to carry that message all the time.
All the time. And it is planetary SOS at the moment because, as you say, we don't have little bits of bottle floating about in a minute. We have almost big islands of the stuff. That thing that you was talking about is gigantic.
It is, and Google Maps has it blocked out so you can't even see it. Now, why is that? They don't want us to see the fact that our Pacific is being clogged up.
By the way, it's not just the Pacific. I watched a video the other night coming down from the Amazon. You want to see how they're dumping nuts rubbish. They're just dumping it straight into the Amazon River.
And I'm so disturbed with our society right now. I'm so disturbed. And part of it is because I'm actually moving onto the farm and a bunch of renovation is going on. And when I bought that farm, there were 6 ceiling fans and 6 light fixtures that all look fine. And the electricians come back and say they all have to be replaced because the wiring was put in wrong on them. Really, I'm sorry. In my dad's day, and I had this conversation, in my dad's day, you're telling me the blades, the bulb, and the inside wiring all have to go to a landfill because they designed it so that if you mess up the electrical unit in there, it's all attached and it all has to go to a landfill. Almost everything I'm touching is making me so annoyed. But, I would love to do hemp on my farm, but I don't think you can grow hemp where you're growing feminized cannabis, can you?
Well, basically, it's the stalks. We can still use the stalks. Anything. Don't get too worried about the varieties and all that. At the end of the day, there is better varieties that fit better products. But at the end of the day, you can make cannabis into anything from anything. It's just the grade you get. If you wanted really good fine material, then you would grow a particular type of cannabis hemp to give you that. But if you just collect all that stuff up, we can still turn it into bricks and things. It's still useful.
Okay. I'm just saying I wouldn't want my CBD, my feminized plants to be mixing with the males.
No, you don't have to do the males. Just collect all the stalks. Any stalks you get, keep them in a pile.
Okay.
After you finish them all the stalks, put them in a pile, and eventually they'll build up. And when we got a ton of it, that'll give us a ton of building material to use.
Okay. I'm with.
As I say, variety, that's just being technical.
No, because really, I really want to get another acre and just grow hemp.
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, the cross-pollination thing, I've never actually really seen any true documentation that there is such a thing as cross-pollination between the 2 different species. They do it. They're a bit like boy and girl, really. Sometimes they cross and sometimes they don't. But generally speaking, they tend to keep themselves apart. Yeah, one likes to do one thing, one likes to do another thing.
Okay, well, it's a small farm, that's why.
Yeah, no, she should be fine. I've seen high THC cannabis growing right next to agricultural hemp, if you like, and there's maybe a 10% pollination problem. But that's it. It's no big deal. The plant decides who she breeds with.
Okay.
She decides. If she doesn't like the pollen, she rejects it, the same as females. If they don't like the man, she rejects it. Simple.
Don't you love her?
Yeah, of course. It's simple. If she likes the man and she wants his pollen, she'll accept it. If she don't want it, she closes it down. Nature's fantastic. And in this cannabis plant, we seem to have reached a point of nature in total. All nature is imperfection, but in the cannabis plant, it just seems to do it so damn well. That's why it's been here so long. It's a species that survived everything. And it survived mankind, and we're not careful. Yeah?
Yes.
But if we tread carefully, we can go into the future with us. Simple.
Yes.
So you got this land. Tell me more about your land. How did that
Oh, well,
all come
it's a
about?
very small little place. It's 1 acre, but it's where it's located. It's only about 15 minutes from our starting point, famous Merced. And it has 2 houses. And the 2 houses are the women, we've got men under our feet all the time. And we really want to make our medicine in sort of a cloistered environment. So
female
we are
energy.
having one house sort of made into an abbey for the women. And one house is for the men and the guests. And it's the men and the guests house is where our offices and our commerce will happen. And then we've got this lovely shed, but it needs an upgrade. I don't know. Do you know what woofers are?
Yeah. Willing workers on organic farms.
If we can raise the money, if we can find the money or the business can support us, we want to rebuild our shop because it's quite large. It's about the equivalent of a 4 or 6 car garage. And it has, if we could put a little like loft up there, then we could house the woofer kids to come and work on the farm and help us for their food. So we're starting to make plans. We actually move in next Tuesday.
I'll tell you, I've worked in the woofer system. I've employed woofers. I've been a woofer. I think when a cannabis farm opens up to the woofer, the global woofer thing, my God, you're going to get some very interesting people wanting to come and woof for you.
That's what I'm kind of hoping, you know?
I think so.
That's what I'm kind of hoping.
Oh, look, cannabis farms come up online. Who wants to go and work at a cannabis farm? Oh, that'd be fantastic. That'd be the first one. Woofing on a cannabis farm. How amazing. Times are changing, aren't they? Getting sweet. Well, I'm happy for you getting that land because I know last time you was a bit worried about it. Weren't you? Sort of, were you going to get it? Weren't you going to get it? So everything worked out okay for you.
I was just really worried that the publicity was going to mess with my mortgage plans because the banks are very skittish in America, and they've pulled out of a lot of or screwed up or interfered with or crashed a number of cannabis business. So I was worried that, I hadn't signed on the dotted line and all of a sudden I was on the news. But that all went off without a hitch around the 1st of January. And we've been in there with reconstruction crews and it's been a nightmare. I mean, we planned to put 20,000 in upgrades. We've already put 40,000 in because all the wiring had to be done. Most of all the plumbing had to be redone. It was a typical, we fell in love with it for the land, for the barns, for the water that rings it, for the deep well and the access to water.
All the real things.
We weren't really that interested in the housing until then the reality of moving in there. And then we were like, ew, this is so horrible. So we've got some major work being done there, but next week is the time when we move in.
Wow. So you're going to go put all the log fire in?
Yes.
Wake it all up. That'd be amazing.
Yes.
Well, job well done, isn't it? Next stage of the game, really, isn't it? Next stage of the movement. Now, on this publicity thing, you've had some really interesting publicity, haven't you, just of late? You've been sort of here, there and everywhere, huh?
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that. What sort of shows you've been on? Who's been interviewing you?
Well, it's not,
wait a minute! I've got to stop. You was on one of the major British papers 2 days ago. I think it was the Guardian. There was a piece
Guardian, the Daily Mail, the Mail. I guess you have something called the Mail.
The Mail. These are big papers, by the way.
Yes.
These are not little backwater papers. These are major British national newspapers.
Yes, so we get, and we know because all of a sudden we'll get a rash of orders from a particular corner of the world, from Italy, from the UK. That's how we know what's going on, and then we go look. But,
listen, I'm not prying. If anybody has ordered from the UK from these sisters, I tell you what, you've ordered a very, 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 very good product. All right.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet. You're in the business, so that means something to us.
There's a lot of information out there these days about scammers and all. There's loads of bad information, loads of good information. But I can tell you, hands on, you can trust these ladies, all right?
Oh, thank you. That's sweet. I'm glad
You're
you
welcome.
say that. I'm glad you say it. We're very serious about it, and that's why we're scared. So the media's just got me scared because of course, we're taking any interview we can get because we're shedding light on the politics of the Central Valley. And of course, we're loving it that the whole world is watching what our lawmakers are doing. That's fascinating to me. And it separates us from our ancient mothers. It gives us powers that our ancient mothers didn't have. It gives us the power of the media. And it's a very powerful tool, amazingly. So, and I think it's why no one's tried to arrest us or take us away. I really honestly believe that the two are related. The global interest in the Central Valley politics and the fact that we haven't been hassled. But what scares me is that, like, for example, there's a History Channel wants to run something on us beginning April 14th. It's very fascinating. They've got 5 different sort of people who they consider are making history right now.
Yeah.
And we haven't, it's not a done deal. This stuff takes a while by the time. We, the sisters, had to get a damn entertainment attorney out of LA. That's how strange our world has gotten. But in this case, it's of course something we want to do, but I called the woman and said, it was horrible for us to run out of product. It was horrible for us that we had customers for a year that couldn't get our product, and they have arthritis and they need our salve or whatever. So
this is
I
the
need to
downside.
know how many people are going to be watching this. And she said, well, it's our History Online channel, and we have 32 million followers. And I was like, holy
schmoly.
So right now, the biggest concern of the sisters is if we keep doing these things, if we keep walking on down towards a documentary miniseries. It's been suggested like a Sisters of South Park animation series. If we actually entertain these concepts, then we have to deal with the reality of rent scaling up in a much bigger way, much faster than we had planned.
Yeah, but you can't stop time and you can't stop media. And who's that famous actress said all media, all publicity is good publicity. So it must be just the time that the light's right to shine you, and I'm sure that the plant will provide. I don't want to sound too spiritual, but that's how it works, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I feel confident that things will work themselves out. But I'm like any other good stoner on the world. We try not to worry about things we don't control, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just a ride that we have to ride out.
I must say as well, though, by the way, the British press are normally very scathing about anything to do with cannabis, okay? They're quite anti-cannabis, my press. And both those articles that I read in the British press about you, they were actually very good. So has the press been quite nice to you?
Yes, I think they have, but I got to tell you what I do is when the press arrives at our door, I make them step outside. I pick up a sage stick, and I do a prayer around them, reminding them that our order is a brand new baby order. And just like a brand new baby, if you step on it or kick it, it could die. So you be gentle with my baby if you're going to talk about her. And they've all respected my wishes on that.
Oh, bless them. Because obviously the media can be very... two-faced, to say the least.
I think that, first of all, there's such a big planetary awakening going on that people understand that the old religious paradigms are crumbling and going extinct, and they're searching for something else. And I don't think it's necessarily that they buy into our viewpoint on things. It's just there's a general respect for people trying to do their own thing.
Yeah, I hope so. There certainly seems to have been a change. I mean, I know that Sierra Riddle, she was in one of the big magazines like Time Out. They done a piece last year. There has been some major magazines that are doing very sensible reporting about cannabis at the moment. So, like CNN, I mean, who would have ever thought that CNN would have done a 3-hour special on cannabis? All of it, what I felt, was in good light.
Well, they couldn't ignore the evidence forever. You can be happy with them that they finally put on their big boy pants and address science. I'm still annoyed of the 75 years of Richard Nixon prohibition.
Yeah. Of course, without a shadow of doubt. And they were part and parcel to that.
Yes, they were all
propagating this lie.
In that. I had a hysterical conversation with the Attorney General of the Post Office for the whole West Coast, who, by the way, is having this conversation with me from Oregon State, or Washington State rather, where it's recreational. And in that conversation, he was telling me that I ought to just go ahead and get my products to keep from the post office interfering in shipments. I should get my FDA approval. And I said, wait a minute, you mean the FDA, the ones that helped keep cannabis criminalized for 75 years? The ones who said hemp seed has no nutritional value. The ones who made the food pyramid that's based on a basis of processed food and more processed food and more processed food. And he laughed and chuckled. He had the good grace to laugh and say, I understand, sister. I understand. Yes, you're sending me to an agency for approval that's part of the criminality of what I'm doing.
And why do you need a proof? They don't get it. It's just an herb.
I am exercising.
All this nonsense about it's just an herb that grows in the ground and gives it to good people like you. You produce some magic out of it, which has some really good scientific background now. We know how it works, the blah, 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 and we know that it works on people. Why? Look, the game's over. They've got to give up, haven't they? This is stupid what they're doing.
It is. The game's over. What you said is absolutely true. Game is over. And I guess we all, here in the Central Valley, our legislators can do their little hissy fit. Yeah. They can enact their bans. It's not stopping any of us. We'll see you in court. And we'll let the courts decide who's right on this.
And all they're doing is they're prolonging the suffering, the people that need it. That's all
they
they're
are.
Doing. Nobody's winning out of this. Huh?
Exactly.
There's a few people who think they're going to make a quick buck, another million on top of the millions they've already scammed out of other.
Right.
But at the end of the day, times have changed. Cannabis is coming back. Cannabis is a medicine. Cannabis is a food group. Cannabis cleans the dirty air. Cannabis will help us move forward into our brand new future.
Yes, exactly. And it'll finance it for us. It's like we're idiots. It's like it will finance it. It will give us the gift of a new industry that can finance a whole cultural turnaway from everything that is damaging to Mother Earth.
Yes. Recycle all that dirty fossil crap and we'll turn it into
I don't know if you know it, but we've had a fuel tank spewing fuel, a gas pipe spewing fuel into somewhere in Southern California for like 90 days. They had to evacuate a whole town. I have a daughter.
Flint? This is a place called Flint, isn't it? Is this Flint?
Oh, no, that's Flint, Michigan. I'm talking about Southern California, somewhere down the coast.
Well, this seems to be happening all over the place, actually. I think that Flint brought again, another... something else was burst because these places, there's quite a few of them now. It's the stuff leaking.
No, what happened in Flint was our politicians went out of their way to commit murder on local citizens. The governor of the state was given the opportunity to continue to provide safe water to the citizens or save a handful of dollars and hook the pipes up to bad water. He selected to save money and hook it up to bad water and not tell anybody. And then when it was pointed out that the citizens were actually being poisoned by the water, he ignored it. And now we've had 10 people die of Legionnaire's disease. That's a direct result of it. The governor has turned his back on it. The people are hoping that he'll be indicted for murder. And it turns out that there are a variety of other areas in the state of Michigan that are also suffering from the same plight of bad water. Now, what you're talking about in California is a leak that has gone off that has been owned by the gas company there. The gas company has finally evacuated a large number of the citizens in that area. You can't even fly an airplane over it because they're afraid it'll go boom with the first ignition of any type of spark. And so that's getting tragic, and they're being slow to take care of that problem. Just like in Michigan, all the talk and all the brouhaha for almost a year. Still, no one's replaced any pipes. No one's put in any fresh water. No one's done a thing but just stand back and watch people get sick. I
listened to Hillary Clinton last night speak about it, and she was addressing it as if it was a strategic long-term problem, that we have to understand this. And so people are being poisoned as we speak. Gas is still spewing south of L.A., where I have a daughter in college. And they treat it like, there's really no rush. That is such contempt that when I hear that, I see Marie Antoinette saying, let him eat cake. That's what I hear.
That's exactly what she said. I mean, it wasn't that long ago you had that deep water thing go off.
Yes.
Well, we've forgotten about that. That thing spewed. We got Fukushima fucking spewing radiation into a whole fucking planet.
Yes.
And everybody's going, it's a problem, nuclear fuel, that's what happens. I'm sure we'll find a solution to it. What the fuck are they talking about? Where are these people's brains that are taking us to a lemming's death, for crying out loud?
Well, and that's the problem we have. We the activist sisters have with religion. We believe that the whole turn of the planet towards Christianity and towards Bible-based cultures across the planet went away from the empowerment of women, and by walking away from the spiritual empowerment of women, they walked right into making it a grace, almost a sacrament, to trash the planet. And that was such a wrong turn that now it's going to take radical means like self-declared activist nuns to start putting an exclamation point on this and start getting other people to do the same to push us back in a complete different direction.
The goddess is a feminine. You destroy the feminine, you destroy the children.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Is anybody here? It's simple. It's like, it's not rocket science. And that's what they've done. They've destroyed the mother.
But
they've attempted to destroy the mother. If they carry on, they will.
You know that it is blatant planetary piratism that makes them ignore science. Yeah. It makes them say, global warming's not a real thing, so that they can make a 20-year debate over on whether it's real or not, rather than address the issues, rather than go into solar, rather than stopping the people who own our Congress. And Citizens United basically, to me, was just a ticket to trollop the rest of America.
Yeah. And the rest of the planet.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just, this is it, it's not just...
No, it's American insidious influence everywhere, the corporate oligarchy, yes.
The corporate oligarchy, and they're everywhere now, they're insidious.
Yes.
Yeah? They're literally like a cancer that needs removing.
Yes.
And what does remove cancers? Cannabis.
Yes, yes.
So we need to put the cannabis in to remove the cancerous growth that is happening on this planet.
And how do you prevent cancers? You remove Monsanto. And you take the zeros off of the number of acceptable water deaths and air deaths that they added on in the last couple of decades.
Adding zeros on, there shouldn't be any. Who should be dying from water poisoning in the year 2015? Exactly. It should be reading zero.
Yes.
Zero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's and I think that we just have to get more radical. I think the left, the Mother Earth progressives just have to become constant, nonstop, pain in the ass activists.
Well, if you're not doing anything because the planet's dying. They're digging it on a daily basis everywhere. So if we don't stop them 24/7 and dedicate our lives to it,
is there a big hemp supplier, like hemp product supplier, that's your favorite?
I have a few that I'd recommend. Again, it depends what products you're looking for, what volumes you're looking for. But yes, yeah. Okay. I have contacts in most of the arts or fields, the fabric or building materials. I have contacts because I'm lucky I've met these people. Yeah?
We just, as I was saying that about everybody becoming activists, I was thinking as well as living an example. And we still use an awful lot of plastic products in making our medicine that we want to make a quick step away from.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think in the plastics market, it's more the big companies like Ford, Mercedes-Benz, Lotus, India's just built a new air car. Have you heard that India's going to release? The biggest car company in the world, by the way, is a car company in India. Yeah? It's not Ford of America or any British company. It's an Indian car company, and they basically build a utilitarian vehicle, which is very practical for use in India for people to be able to use. And they're going to release an air-driven one, I think, in next month.
Oh, awesome.
The largest car company in the world is going to give the people of India an air-driven car because the government of India have decided they've had enough of fucking fossil fuel. Simple.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's how they've done it.
See how simple.
Simple.
It's just that there's too much money and greed polluting the process for common sense or for the adults to rule on anything.
Well, it's polluted their mind. That money has polluted their mind to the point. It's sort of like almost like a disease like anorexia, or they've got something going on and they've got a death wish.
Well, and it frustrates me so much because it's really based on this capitalist consumption model. And it's also based that if you are rich, if you are greedy and rich, you're good. And if you are poor and homeless, you are bad. It's that inherent thing that just makes me so crazy. In our town, we have homeless people. And if you listen to the businesses on Main Street, they speak about them like they're rats. They want the problem dealt with. They want them gone. But no one thinks about, Charlie, the PTSD vet who's walking around town talking to himself because we have no mental health care and because he really just needs help. It's a real Trump mindset, in my opinion. And I'm not surprised he's risen up. But, wow, it's so disturbing to me. It's so unreligious. And those people that say those things are the same ones that go to church every Sunday to their traditional churches.
Well, we got this thing going on in Europe with all the Syrian refugees leaving Syria to get into Europe. And the Europeans go, oh, we don't want them. The answer is don't keep bombing their fucking country. If you don't bomb their country, they won't want to leave. There's nothing there for them anymore.
And whether they want them or not, they have a human right requirement to not ignore this situation. Just basic human right. Human obligations to our brothers and sisters.
And unfortunately, once upon a time, there might have been a few really gnarly terrorists running around. But now, most of the terrorists are not really terrorists. They're fathers that have had their children killed by an out-5 force.
Yes.
What's a father do when he's at his house and his wife and his kids blowing up? Go and make friends with the enemy? Yeah, right. Innit? Cheers, mate. Thanks for dropping bombs on me children. Yeah, whatever do to you.
Right, exactly.
It's got nothing to do with religion.
We create these problems and then...
We create the problem.
And stand back and go, oh, I can't help them. I heard, was it Denmark or Sweden or somebody who sent them all away? Yeah,
they closed the door on them. That will hurt. That will hurt the psyche of those countries, you see, because the sort of socialist countries that have good healthcare, good education, good road, they look after their population, but they can't cope with the swarm of refugees that are coming into their country. They're too little. They'll drown with them. And believe you me, the Swedish people will feel it because they're not uncaring people.
Yes.
But what can you do? The governments of the West are not listening. What the fuck are you doing going to war in the desert and even playing stupid games with superpowers like Russia and China?
Yes.
Don't threaten these big boys because they're big boys too. They're not going to take the kicking sand in the face. They got bombs and guns and planes and they're quite prepared to use them. And when people like us keep going onto their borders and making lots of... It's just, all these political shenanigans got to settle down.
Yes.
Because they're fighting over nothing. There's nothing there for us. Nothing. At all. A bit of oil, maybe, and we don't need that stuff no more. That's finished. It's gone.
No, and that's an underlying root cause of everything that's going on is America's military drift. We have 26 veterans a day in this country committing suicide, up from 22 a day, and it's been going on for over 7 years, and it's because they're being denied basic benefits while we're putting millions into stealth bombers and firing up more machines to make more PTSD vets, as well as doing damage to our reputation and to other cultures.
Well, what have they got left to bomb? They've done Iraq. They've done most of North Africa. They've done Syria, part of Turkey. What is left?
Oh, there's a new movie out here that I've got on my list to see called Who Shall We Bomb Next? And it's pretty radical, and it talks about this exact same issue. And I'm frankly surprised it made it to the theaters. It exposes this concept that we always have to be bombing someone.
After the Second World War, I thought we all signed a pact, and the NATO pact was like live in peace. We've had World War II, Second World War,
And then America began to just put new names on it, like what do they call them? Police actions and. Any other name, terrorist, that's where the rise of terrorism and overusing that name for everything gave excuse, that whole idea that they could just spin it and do something else. But I think their game's up. I think the vast majority of people know the emperors have no clothes and that we're in for some serious big change now.
Well, we got to be, otherwise, if we don't change, there's only one outcome.
Right.
There is no other outcome if we don't change.
Exactly.
And anybody that thinks that there is mentally deranged. Simple. Because nobody can say there is a future in the way that we're going.
Exactly.
How can there possibly be?
Exactly. Actually, that gives me an opportunity. The Sisters of Mendocino County are connected with a group called the Center for Biological Diversity. So we call them the other CBD. And we're getting T-shirts made now that have the CBD from cannabis on one side with like a Wikipedia explanation, and the other CBD, Center for Biological Diversity. We have to work, all of us, as you've been dedicated your life to, in connecting cannabis to the health of the planet.
Yes,
and so that's one of our objectives is, and the Center for Biological Diversity tracks extinct species and extinct plants from our from our meat-based diet, from our extinction-based diet, and as well as the plants going extinct because of Monsanto doing crazy stuff. So they've become like a sister organization that I just wanted to plug because they're the other.
Oh, brilliant! Plug them, mate. In fact, if they want to come on air and talk to me, I love talking. That's where my head really is at.
That's wonderful because they're in Mendocino County, and I think they'd love to talk to you.
Sure, link us up. I love people like that. How we can fit hemp into the biodiversity and how it works in that situation. It's very, very interesting, and what it actually does is it causes a thing called the cascade effect. But that's another story.
No, but you're right. It's fun to play with the words. So we've got the two CBDs. We've got the cannabis CBD and the Center for Biological Diversity. Yeah. We have the two CIAs. Cannabis is agriculture. That's our CIA. Yeah. And it's fun to play with words because it makes it. That's how the insidious bad guys play. They make their little jingles like they're fake names, they're privacy invasion names that make the Patriot Act and things like that. That are just insidious, but true. People remember things when you bundle the words for them in fun ways. And CBD and CBD, they go together.
CBD, that's a new word that's come off, isn't it, recently? Who was talking CBD sort of 5 years ago?
No, they were all still talking indica or sativa.
Yeah, man. It's a hot word on the blogger. Know your CBDs, man. T-shirts sound good, though. I'll get one of them off you when they're ready. Wear that with pride. So, what else is going on? Right, we've got to start thinking about, we've got about 7 minutes left, so we've got to be careful with the time now. So, right, we've got the land going down. What do you need from people? What are you looking for? Some more support? Is there anything you can do?
We still need a wheelbarrow.
Wheelbarrow, look. After all that now, listen. Come on, guys. Surely we can get a wheelbarrow, one by hook or by crook, down to the sisters. One measly wheelbarrow. Come on.
What we need is... it's wonderful that people buy our salves. We have little tins of salves that when people say, what can we do for you? We say, buy some tins and give them to anybody you know who has pain.
Fantastic. So how do we find you again? Tell everybody again how you find you up.
sistersofcbd.com.
There you go. Yeah, and I'll put that all on the page later like we did before. So, but yeah, just remember that,
And then the other thing is if there's somebody listening that wants to help the political cause, cannabisisagriculture.com, and you know that we take those donations and use them exclusively to replace politicians who are against cannabis.
Wow! Listen, if I had $1 million a day, you'd have it. I'd have to get rid of a few of them.
Seriously, we're serious about this, and it's the only way we're going to usher in a new future.
Yeah. I think people have got to realise that once this future comes, jobs and finances become back in abundance again. Everybody gets a job. Everybody wants a job, gets a job in the cannabis industry. There's always work to do with cannabis because there's always something new to do with it.
And there's a lot of us that just don't like our cannabis handled by machines.
No.
So we would much rather hire more people. The first time I had to bring in a crop in 2010, I went to a homeless shelter and I talked to one of the men who volunteered time there and said, could you bring me like 6 guys every morning to work like 8 or 10 hour shift, and then I'll pay them cash. And of course, I had a lawyer and a legitimate business. So I got my crop in so well by those homeless guys. They came clean every day. And the supervisor arranged to go around and pick them up for wherever they stayed, get them a shower and a hot breakfast, get them in. So it was a community effort. But I had this team of like 6 or 8 homeless guys that actually the money they earned really helped them get out of their homeless situation. One just needed enough to fix his car. One just needed enough to pay his brother what he owed him so he could move back into the house behind his brother's shop, and so forth and so forth. But
people like working in cannabis fields as well, don't they, for some particular reason?
They do, because it heals them while they're doing it, and it's quiet, introspective work. It's you and the plant, and it's not a lot of nonsense and bullshit. Yeah. But my lawyer had a fit after that and said, "Don't you ever do that again." And I just remember getting scolded for it. And I was like, why? What was the matter with that?
It made something.
Yes.
One of the villages, the farm where I come from in Romania, they got a 650 hectare plot, right? That's over 1,000 acre. And they can afford to buy the big John Deere machinery, but they don't. They bring it in with the locals by hand because it gives all the locals some employment.
Yes,
and they like it. They enjoy it.
Some man comes in our kitchen and says, you ladies could save a lot of time if we say, get out of here. We like touching our medicine. We like our little glass jars and pouring it and meditating on it while we're making our medicine. You want a factory? Go talk to the pharmaceutical companies. We have to chase out the men all the time because it's always, no women ever comes in and tells us how we could improve ourselves. But when you're dealing, that's all you ever deal with, especially in this business. Yeah,
well, it's just ridiculous because, you see, one thing that you put into your medicine that many companies don't have the capability of doing is you put the love in. So you can't put the love in a big factory. It's not a big love bottom.
Right.
Coca-Cola. Exactly. Oh, look, Coca-Cola, the love bottom. It's just a big machine that knocks it out. When you do it by hand, there's love, there's patience, there's magic happen. That's the love vibe. And when you give cannabis love, she gives tenfold love back. Simple. She's a vibrational plant that vibrates the love up.
Yes. And we take a lot of shit for that around here in the Valley. People giving us a hard time about that we say it's an intelligent plant, and then everybody says, oh, you ladies are smoking too much of your own product.
Oh, yeah.
But it is an intelligent plant. You know, and I know.
I know that.
It's intelligent.
Yeah, she's very intelligent, actually. She's more intelligent than me.
And
she's been here longer
than our city council, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, but that Daisy might be more clever than them, or maybe a pansy. What do you call them, pansies or daisies? Or I don't want to insult anybody. Are they a bunch of pansies? It's fantastic, but it's nice, isn't it, that there is some really good breakthrough stories coming through. I mean, there's still a lot of sadness in the world out there that our people are not accepting this medicine and still refuting what's actually happened with it. But hey, step by step now, this little stream, this little trickle's turned into a bit of a river, isn't it? Starting to pick up momentum and starting to flow.
What you said is true. It's really gaining momentum, and we have got outpouring of support from every 420 club across the planet. And I had no idea that it was such a global activist thing. There is literally no place that doesn't have a 420 club.
Yeah. Again, just this whole cannabis movement, whether the 420 clubs, there's hemp movements and cannabis movements and groups, but people are rising up and starting to understand what the power of cannabis is.
Yes.
It's part of us, it's part of our future. They're joining up and linking up. And, of course, the exchange of more information and more ideas. Well, it just seems to be that these politicians are standing in the way because they're endocannabinoid deficient. They actually are suffering from a brain deficiency, bless them.
Yes. Yes, I agree. But it's amazing what they've learned just in the last 10 years. And it just kind of burns my butt because in any just world, if you learned that something as a government that you've been demonizing, and our American Cancer Society came out saying that it helps cure cancer, then you should stand up, be a grown-up, brush yourself off, and reverse your position. That's simple.
Yeah, simple. I made a mistake, got it wrong, like Gupta did. Give him his dues. He went in front of people and said, listen, got it wrong. Sorry, apologise, but let's move on. This is what I found out. This is really interesting. This is really good. So forget all of that because that was just me being stupid and not reading my own research. I'm
afraid there's, far too much money in the criminalization of it.
Isn't it? Well, that's again the thing, isn't it? Because they criminalised this back in the day, it has now really attracted a massive criminal element into it. And, of course, we're looking for all these get rich quick people now. They think it's going to be the next fix of $1 billion. And all they see is the money behind it. I actually see this sometimes when I talk to people about cannabis and cannabis cultivation, especially on the hemp front. I get what they call the dollar sign lights up in their eye. And as soon as that lights up in their eye, that's when I walk away, because all they're going to see is dollars. They're not going to see sustainability.
I really have faith in the stoners that they are not going to buy into any pharma, corporate culture, Marlboro-made cannabis. I think that by virtue of the people having to be underground on this for 20, 30 years, people like myself, that there's a sort of code that won't be broken over this. I hope, anyway. I pray. I
hope so, too, because they're the people that do us all wrong. And if we give them a go at this, they'll only fuck it up.
Yes,
because they fuck everything up.
Yes,
that's what they do.
They do, and we don't want them.
Yeah, heaven forbid that. Well, we see what happens, but I think the same as you. The corporates have got to go away because they're just greedy monsters. And they're just feeding themselves. It's the dog eating the dog tail.
Yes. So when are you going to come visit me?
Very shortly, I hope. I can't quick soon enough. Maybe I'll pop over from Jamaica, see how the land lies. It's not very expensive to fly from Jamaica into America.
Oh, that would be wonderful. We're going to be in there as of next week. So if it works out for you, you should.
Well, Jar leads the way. I'll follow the plant, and she seems to do right by me, and I'll do right by her. So I would like to go there. So if possible, I'm sure the door will open.
Yes, absolutely. Well, our door is always open.
Thank you so much. It's incredible, isn't it? It's like every day there's so much new stuff happening everywhere.
It's very, very exciting times. It's hard to sleep, I admit, because like you said, there's new information coming out all the time. There's new clubs and groups like Women Grow popping up all over the planet. And it's just very exciting times. It's like the time for the plant has come now, and we were called upon to help usher it in during this amazing paradigm shift. So I think we're very, very lucky.
How privileged are we? How privileged. Again, I always like to put this in. I am 4 years past my medical sell-by date, so every day is blessed for me.
Well, that is wonderful.
If
I think you've got a lot of life left in you, brother.
I think I've got a lot of life left in me. I certainly feel that way.
Wow. All right, so good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie. Thanks so much for having me. Good night, Sister Kate.
Good night.
To talk to you. Good night, Casper.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Hey, lots of people think that cannabis is just for smoking, but when they hear this song, they'll learn there's more to choking. 25,000 different things we can make from it, and if we give it a chance, we'll save the blinking planet. Food, fibre, fuel and medicine, necessities for life, a benefit to all of us, our wonder and delight. Within this smelly weed, there's more than meets the eye, so much more than smoking, it can cleanse our dirty skies. Cannabis, will save the planet with cannabis. Cannabis, I'll risk my soul, I'm sure.
Since 1990, over 9 million people have broken the rules and got arrested for pot. That's more than the population combined from Alaska, Montana, Wyoming, and even Vermont. Man, that sure seems like a lot. In 2005, over 750,000 American citizens got busted with weed. What burns holes in my tent is 86% were arrested for possession. But what I can't believe is one of those people was me. So what can we do about legalization but rally around and reform legislation that state our position and make it our mission? A change in the law is what we need. It's time we legalize weed. Chief Greenbud is spouting about prison overcrowding, using words like reform, rally, and change. Why should we do time for a victimless crime? Marijuana isn't evil, but it's taking the blame. Don't you think that it's time for a change? So what can we do about legalization but rally around and reform legislation that state our position and make it our mission? A change in the law is what we need. It's time we legalize weed. Let's make it our mission, state our position. Change in the law is what we need. It's time we legalize weed. Yeah, it's time we legalize weed.
Now, when it comes to medical marijuana, I have more of a practical view than anything else. I mean, my attitude is that if it's an issue of doctors prescribing medical marijuana as a treatment for glaucoma or as a cancer treatment, I think that should be appropriate, because there really is no difference between that and a doctor prescribing morphine or anything else. I think there are legitimate concerns in not wanting to allow people to grow their own or start setting up mom and pop shops, because at that point it becomes fairly difficult to regulate. And you know, again, I'm not familiar with all the details of the initiative that was passed and what safeguards there were in place. But I think the basic concept that using medical marijuana in the same way with the same controls as other drugs prescribed by doctors, I think that's entirely appropriate.
This may sound strange, but I want to pay taxes. See, I don't drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes. I relax with something science has proven is much safer, marijuana. And I want to buy it somewhere that charges taxes to pay for schools and roads, just like alcohol and tobacco. What do you think should profit? Are schools and roads or drug dealers?
Visit the Marijuana Policy Project Foundation at joinmpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Education and information. See what all the buzz is all about. It's time for hemp. It's time for hemp.